Hi, everyone. Thank you once again for joining us on Designers Craft. We're very, very excited to be on the fourth Designers Craft. I am your host, Kagonya Awori, Dr. Kagonya Awori, and I'm very, very happy to have our guest today. We're going to have a really lovely and engaging conversation. So, some house rules. Feel free to ask questions as we converse, as we speak. Just put your questions down here, and as we go along, we'll be able to pick a question and then get it answered. If we don't get to all your questions during the show, don't worry. We'll try and answer them after the show. So, Karibu Sana, grab your favorite meal or drink, sit down, and let's enjoy this conversation. So, our guest today is Eunice Mumma from M-PESA, and she will be talking about Fuliza. I'm sure many of you are using Fuliza. Don't worry, we'll not tell too many people about it. But yes, so today we'll learn a lot about Fuliza and how it was designed and become a very quick growing product and has actually solved a problem for many people. So without further ado, I'm gonna add Eunice onto the stage. Hey,
Hey,
hi Eunice, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you, Dr. Kagonya?
Very well, very well. Well, I'm really, really happy to have you here.
Happy to be here too.
Yes. So I hope you can hear me well.
Yep.
Okay, great. So just introduce yourself. Tell us about yourself. So who's Eunice and what do you do?
I know. So the introduction piece is always interesting and trying to keep it simple and interesting. So, anyway, my name is Eunice RG Mumma. Everyone asks what RG is. So, RG are just
Mhm.
my middle initials, very authentic African names, Ruguru Gatama. Ruguru
Wow.
Gatama Mumma. And yeah, that's who I am. So, working for Safaricom as a senior product manager in the new business ventures. So we take care of new business ideas with a primary focus on credit savings and digital data monetization. So
Oh,
other than the professional self, Eunice is an adrenaline junkie and I love to do exciting stuff. So that's me. Yeah.
that is good, adrenaline junkie. So what are some of the craziest adrenaline things you've done? Because I think I'm the opposite of an adrenaline junkie.
I'm even shy. So I've done it all: skydiving, bungee jumping,
Wow.
zip lining, swing, like name it, I've done it. So I love adrenaline because I
Uh-huh.
think we live in the unexperienced spheres of our lives. So if you can do just what scares you, then you know you're in the right track.
Oh my goodness. I don't think I'll ever follow that advice. What scares me? Oh no.
Yeah, like do
But
it, do it.
but I mean that's good advice. So guys, do what scares you. Have you had that? That's the first tip for today.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you have had, the privilege, the honor of working on this awesome product called Fuliza. But before we get to that, just tell us about your job. Like, what do you like most about your job? What do you find interesting?
Sorry, I didn't quite catch you, Kagonya.
Yeah, sorry about that. So, before we get to Fuliza, I just wanted to know, can you share with us what do you like most about your job, your day-to-day job?
So my day-to-day job is about product innovation around new things that touch on M-PESA. So for the longest time, M-PESA has been the like the railway track. So how do we move M-PESA onto the what carries everything else? So we've been used to being the railway track. So it's all about mobile money, send money to Kagonya, send money to Eunice, pay your utility bills. So how can we move on to the next level of making M-PESA a lifestyle, making M-PESA about more than just being a channel for money transfer. So that's the exciting bit. It's like an empty space to play with what it is that you want to do with M-PESA. So that's what's exciting about it. It's do you innovate and just what can we possibly do with M-PESA? Just the same way Facebook started with pokes and likes, and now it's all
And
about Facebook money and Facebook cards and Apple coming up with Apple money. So I feel like we're in the same space Facebook and Apple. It's ambitious, but that's exactly who we are.
And I think that's true, really. And it's must be so exciting to work in a space where, as you said, it starts with exchange of money, then it now moves on to bigger things and bigger products. And one of the products actually is Fuliza. So for those who have never heard of Fuliza, which might be a surprise, maybe they're there. What is Fuliza about?
So I think to start with, what is Fuliza? Fuliza, before we go to the term Fuliza, it was a whole journey. Fuliza means like Fululiza. Like Tanzanians would probably better understand that. It's like completing something on behalf of yourself or somebody. Kufululiza. So we looked at the scenario of how many customers try to use the M-PESA functionality to pay for a bill in for a utility or to pay for a bill at a restaurant. And at the point of making the transaction, you realize that you didn't fund your account appropriately, or there's not enough money to complete that transaction. And if somebody could just Fululiza that for you, and which is where the Fuliza terminology came from. So the essence of Fuliza was just how can we help our customers complete the transactions that they intended to do at the point where I'm at a fuel station and I need to just pay for my bill because my tank is full and I need to pay for that transaction. So that's the essence of Fuliza. At the point where I need to pay for a transaction, can my credit worthiness be enough to allow me to complete that transaction?
Okay. You know, one of the things I love the most about Fululiza um, is that, and you mentioned this, sometimes, going shopping on the queue, there, 100 people behind me, then I don't have enough money in
Yeah,
my M-PESA. So now, before I would now have to tell them, okay, wait, sorry, wait. Then I
I
go to
know.
my bank, move it
M-PESA to
to,
bank,
and then,
bank to
and it's just,
M-PESA.
yeah,
You
literally
wait for
sweating
it
it.
to happen. Yeah,
And then the worst thing is if there are three people ahead of me who have to do that, I'm like, oh my goodness, why did I come onto this particular queue? But
I
now
know.
it's
Yeah,
so easy. Yeah, I love. Actually, I think the best design, the best thing about Fuliza is the journey, where it comes in to help. Yeah, so it comes in at the right time to
yeah,
actually help me fulfill the need. Was there
yeah.
some research that was done that you guys discovered this problem? How did you discover this problem?
Yeah, I mean, we looked at some research around how many transactions at the point of customer needing M-PESA fail because of insufficient funds. So we looked at those transactions where we actually see the customer initiating an M-PESA transaction at a supermarket to pay an electricity bill, to send money to Kagonya because I owe her something. And we looked at the failed transactions at different scenarios, and the volumes were amazing. So we all assume that everyone knows how much money sits in their mobile wallet. But the value was in actually realizing that so many people initiate the transaction, and only at the point of M-PESA PIN do you realize that you have insufficient funds to complete this transaction. And that was the aha moment. Like, we need to be able to fulfill that transaction at that very moment without having to get the customer to leave that journey of paying Kagonya to go and look for another bank or another financier to give me credit. So how are we able to fulfill that transaction in that contextual mode? So the uniqueness is that Fuliza is contextual. It's at the moment of need that I
Yes.
avail the credit limit to you, and you're able to complete that transaction without, I don't know why we feel like credit is embarrassing, but at the
Yes.
point of need, I'm there to fulfill that request. Yeah.
Actually, let's talk about that. Like credit, when I was growing up, I actually thought that I should never borrow. I thought that, even getting a bank loan, car loan, those things are
Yeah.
terrible. It means I'm a terrible citizen. I'm not, hardworking enough. So there's this very negative perception to borrowing.
About
Yet
credit.
everyone has borrowed. Even, sorry to use the example when Donald Trump claims that he was just given $1 million by his dad, right? So
Yeah.
even the rich need to, get some money, get some credit to achieve, then achieve their, their goal, then help them
Yeah.
to either move faster, accelerate, and move forward. So you're right. There's this negative perception around borrowing, around credit,
Yeah.
and not too sure what brought that about.
I think we've been made to believe that credit is bad. But from where I sit, if I have your money that I can use before I use money, my own money, that's a plus. And many people
Wow.
don't understand that. So
Wow.
for me, it's not about my using credit being a show of my lack of availability. If I have cash, I'll keep that aside
Mhm.
and use what Kagonya can advance to me
Mhm.
at an
Mhm.
interest that makes sense to her and also makes sense to me. So I think we need to perceive credit as an enabler more than just something that comes to bridge my embarrassment. And that's what we believe it is. But for me, I look at credit as something that comes to bridge the gap. If I have Kagonya's money that I can use to make 50% and pay her 30, then I have a 20% advantage. And that's how we always need to perceive credit. Yeah.
That's really, really good. And is there like so when finding out the need for Fuliza, is it that there's a person look at data? Is it like you do data analysis? Like how did you look at the numbers or the analysis or the trend? Sorry, how did you find out this trend?
So like I alluded to, so many customers started a transaction and aborted it because at the point of completing the transaction, you then realize that I don't have enough money to complete this transaction. So probably I need to pay my DSTV bill. And I start the
Mm-hmm.
journey and I realize my DSTV bill is probably 6,000, but I have 5,000. So I'm short of 1,000 shillings. So the intention was within that journey of completing that bill, Safaricom and our financial partners should be able to advance to me that 1,000 shillings without me having to leave the journey and go and seek an approval for a loan, at what rate, and the science behind it. So the way Fuliza works is I know I need to pay a bill. I start the journey. I probably have half the amount that is required to fulfill that bill. And at that point, we are able to present to the customer how much is short from the transaction, what the cost of that transaction will be. And the customer at that very point is able to accept and say, yes, I want to proceed and accept the terms that Safaricom and the financial partners will advance me the difference at this percent. We make it very, very open. So I'm able to see how much is being advanced to me, at how much in terms of percentage that will be. And I can actually see an amount. So if the amount is 1,000, how much is it costing me for that 1,000? So the fact that it's very contextual within the journey of completing a payment makes it very easy for customers to then say, yes, accepted, I want to continue to fulfill this transaction. Because it's not a random withdrawal of funds or money that I need to do something else with. I was making a payment to KPLC for my power, and I'm short 100 shillings, or even 10 shillings, or even 1 shilling. And I'm able to get credit for that difference that I don't have in my wallet at the time. So that was really the science behind it. Can we be at the point of need for our customers? Yeah.
Okay. And I like that you're saying we, so meaning there's a team. I guess those are to lead a team. So what is the component of the team? So I'm seeing members of the audience. Thank you, Jackie, Yvonne, James, and Wangoi for tuning in and putting in your comments. So then if any of our guests who joined in want to join this team, who composed this awesome Fuliza team? Who is in there? What do they do? Tell us.
Yeah. So I think this was the hardest thing ever because Fuliza became such a great achievement for Safaricom and for our partners. So just being able to say who was relevant in this journey. But technology team, I mean, they never fail to be present for you, because if the technology guys don't avail their expertise from a technology perspective, then you're done. The user experience team from a customer support perspective, we had people from the business side, project management. I mean, like, we all have ambitions, but if the project manager is not there to like tame the ambitions of everyone in the team
Like,
and just let you know what needs to be done, irrespective of what your wishes are. There were guys from risk. We love the risk guys, and just being able to address their concerns in terms of being sure that you have addressed the risk issues. And of course the external partners. We have the regulators. We had to be sure to address the concerns of the regulators. So for us to sit back and say the first overdraft facility was availed through a bank, M-PESA is just phenomenal, and we are proud to be associated with that. But the team is so diverse that we couldn't do it without any one of the guys who played a part in it. Yeah.
that's true. And I think you mentioned two key points here. First, I don't know if many of the guests understand what that risk team, because I know for sure when I started working at Safaricom, I didn't even know that there's a department for, and there's a whole, looking at risk. So could you give us an inkling about what they do? How do they protect our customers, or what do they do basically?
I think the way I'd look at the risk team, they are like the bridge between the customer and us, the regulator and us, because we in business we are go-getters. We like to get numbers in. We like to like make it happen. But the risk and compliance are there to create some sanity and tell you guys, yes, your design is perfect, but we have these stakeholders who are the regulator, who are the credit board committee, who are the various stakeholders. So I think the risk guys come in to just create some sense of sanity and remind us to check the things that we would ideally not out of wanting look at. So the credit guy, the risk guys would give us some sense of check back and make sure that you have all the T's crossed and all the I's dotted. So our credit guys really do ensure that we comply with the external stakeholders and as well as internal policies. Yeah.
That's true. And I like but you see, when we're designing products, sometimes we want to innovate and conquer the world. But we have to remember that that has to be within, sometimes the rules of the world. So I know for sure I'm one of those who wants to just literally create a rocket and
Yeah.
fly and go crazy. But it's always good to be aware of the other teams. So even as technology designers, as we design this and innovate technology for Africa, we need to also be aware of these are the tools or these are the parts of development that we
Yeah.
really can't ignore. So that's really, really a key point, and that's it. But yes, so now just back to Fuliza. So you've explained how Fuliza works, how the journey was designed. Then is there how now let's think of launch day, right? So that launch day, probably to tell us how that feeling was. Yeah, on that when you guys press that button, people always think that we just press one button and kaboom, the
Everything
cartoons.
happens. I know. I know. So I mean, launch day for me feels like yesterday, because
Wow.
we were all ready. Like, you would all be ready. There was a checklist. PMO had everything. The project management office had everything in check. You tick the boxes and you're sure you have everything. But the difference with Fuliza was that it happened during the festive season. So it was the
Oh,
24th of December, the 25th
yeah.
of December, and we are all ready. The regulator has said we have a go. And
Was that deliberate to put it in the festive season?
for us, I don't think it was. I can only speak for Safaricom. So of course, this is when we are on hypercare. Everyone is on a slowdown, but we got the approval on the 24th
Oh,
of December, and we had
I
to
see.
like really consolidate ourselves and say we have to get this done. So we had 5 days, actually 10 days, and the launch date was actually 5th of January. And we had to
Mm-hmm.
sit back and just say 5th of January 2019, we expected to go live. So we worked through the night and we made sure systems were ready, and it was all go. And of course you're ready, and at midnight everything was okay until we all went home and slept. But when the entire country woke up, everybody wanted to be on Fuliza. So we had
And
volumes of millions in terms of opt-ins, and the
wow.
system got a bit confused. So we all had to get up at 10 o'clock, fix the opt-in issues, but it wasn't too bad. In about half an hour, 1 hour, we were able to get some semblance of stability. So day one, day two, we were talking about millions of customers opting into this service. So it was phenomenal. And we have no regrets. We had customers waiting for a need that they had anticipated, and just being able to answer to a customer need was quite exciting. Yeah.
And so you had millions of users within the first week. That's a dream come true for any. I'm just thinking of the startups, people and startups or small companies.
Yeah.
How, how do you how do how do you comprehend that success? Or was it anticipated, by the way? Did you guys expect it, or was it almost like a shock?
I think it was expected, but not anticipated. So we're like, yeah, it'll do well. Yeah. But when the volume started kicking in, we had to now sit back and regroup and say, our bank partners, are you ready to do this scoring? Are you ready to do all this? But I think we sometimes underestimate the capabilities of our technical design guys. Like,
Mm,
we cracked for a few minutes, but when everything stabilized, then we were okay, and we were able to respond to customer queries. We were able to answer to the opt-in requests. So it was a bit overwhelming because you don't expect that kind of traction in the first day, but technically we were ready for this.
okay. We have a very good question from Natalie. Um, and the question is, how has people's behavior changed during then and the COVID season? Are people paying back? Have you seen increased use during COVID, or has it decreased? What has it been?
Yeah. Yeah, good question. So we've actually seen an increase in use of Fuliza limits during the COVID period. Why? Because during the COVID period, a lot of people experienced unexpected realities and shocks. So you'd wake up and today your employer is like 50% salary from tomorrow going forward. So a lot of customers fell back to the opportunity to use credit facilities that were available. And we did see a lot of clients using their available limits, but also we saw many customers extending their repayment period beyond the 30 days that we ideally would expect someone to pay up their facility. So those are the realities. A lot of people could not fulfill their requirements within the 30 days, and that was expected. So we saw a lot of our financial partners extending repayment periods by 30 days, 60 days, and we've been able to see that impact. So COVID has been real. A lot of people were not able to fulfill their requirements in terms of paying within the 30 days. And many people who had never used their Fuliza limits began to use it at that point, because then this is a limit available to you. You could use it to pay your groceries, to pay your utilities, to pay your water bills, electricity bills. So we have
Yeah.
seen Fuliza coming up in handy to Fululiza the need at that particular point.
And then how do I increase my limit? So say I'm in a bind. How do I ensure that now I can borrow more?
Wow, that's always the contentious issue. So as we move along, we need to get our country to the point where credit is not just about how I do not pay. Kenyans perceive credit scoring as a negative thing. So if I don't pay, I'm listed at CRB and I'm
Mhm.
blocked from accessing facilities. So how we look at it is that going forward, we should be able to enable our customers understand what a credit score is and how it affects your limit on various products. So use M-PESA more is what I would say, because that then enables us to understand your inflows and outflows on your M-PESA wallet, pay up your loans, whether M-Shwari, whether Tala, whether branch, because then the CRB data is available to be able to score Eunice, to be able to score Kagonya, and make
Yeah.
a decision on if we should advance credit on a new product. So I think it's more around being able to fulfill your obligations on whatever it is that you have picked up, and just being able to drive more volumes in the digital sphere of M-PESA so that we are able to see your capability more.
Yeah, and to be honest, that's a good point about the credit score. Even I learned about credit scoring, I guess, later in my adulthood. And I assumed that the less you borrow, the higher the score. But actually, the score
You
gets
borrow.
lower. Yes, the more you
Yeah.
borrow and of course pay back the loan, borrow, pay back. So you get
Yeah.
a higher score because
Yeah.
it allows the bank and financial institutions to then know your paying back habits. So sometimes it's just good even to just use Fuliza for the sake of increasing the score, because you never know what the future holds. You might need it one day. So
Yeah.
really scoring is that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even with CRP getting listed, I was listed for the silliest of things. Um, I had come in. I mean, I was living abroad. Then I'd come into the country, and then a friend of mine and I were trying to test out Mshwari. It was new at that time, and I think then you put one. I think you can put in 10 bob, and you can get a loan facility of 3,000. And we were so excited. Then excited Kagwana just left the country, forgot about it, came back, things were
Yeah.
hectic. So I would say check your loans, ensure you pay them back. But yeah, it's true. The credit score thing is something that people have to be aware of. So borrow, lend, or rather borrow, pay back, then it comes to green. I
Yeah.
think other influences that have come along that maybe would allow people then to, I guess, say access credit better in your experience with Fuliza, what else do you think that people should learn in terms of how to, I don't know, get better, healthier credit habits?
Yeah. So from where we sit as Safaricom, if you use the credit available to you in a responsible manner, then we are able to evaluate your credit worthiness, and be able to say I'm comfortable saying that Kagonya is a medium risk with a high income, and therefore I can advance her a loan of 10,000 shillings. And that we want to simplify the understanding of credit and credit facilities to the customer, so that I know what my behavior means to my credit score and to the facilities
Mhm.
that are available to me. In the European world, credit
Yeah.
score is utilized in many detail, even as simple as my rent, and the fact that I can walk up to a building, and because my credit score is high, I can actually negotiate a better rent deposit contract, or even the monthly payments for my rent for a facility. So we want to be able to simplify the understanding of credit and how I interact with credit, and how I can actually use my good credit behavior to negotiate terms for a credit card, to negotiate terms for a lease agreement for a business premises. So just bringing credit scoring to the heart of the consumers and how that works for them, as opposed to thinking I'm listed by CRB and therefore I can never access a loan. But how can we then tap into the good behavior of you being able to pick up a loan and pay in time and pick up another and pay in time? And how does that good behavior benefit you for other related products? That's the intention in the long run.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's really, really good. So we have a question here. And we have great comments from Samuel, Julie, and Yambura. And the question is from Yvonne, and she asks, can I subscribe or opt out of Fuliza? It's a sad question, but it's a question.
Yeah, I hope Yvonne is subscribed to Fuliza first, because Fuliza comes to help you in that moment when you didn't think you needed it. So you're at the till at Carrefour and you're now confidently paying your bill and keying in the Carrefour till number, and you're short of 2 shillings on your M-PESA balance. And we take the pain away and advance you that 2 shillings at a minimal fee, and we complete the transaction gracefully for you. So yes, you can actually opt into the Fuliza service. You dial *234 *0#, and you'll be able to see everything pertaining to Fuliza. How do I opt in? What are the charges? We intend to be fully transparent to the customer. What does it cost me on a daily basis as long as I have an outstanding Fuliza? How do I see my statement? How do I repay? And just how do I have control of how I interact with my Fuliza limit? So that's all available. *234 *0#. Opt in and experience it. Yeah.
And
I
another
always say
good,
if you have somebody else's money to use that first before you use your own money.
so that's the second tip to the first one was do something dangerous. The
Yeah.
second one, you can use someone else's
Someone
money.
else's money, yeah, before you use your own. Yeah.
I think I like the second tip better than the first one. Um, so now, another point, opt in, opt out. Why is it that you have to opt in or opt out from Fuliza? Why didn't Safaricom just, put all of us in there automatically?
I think it's about transparency. We want to feel that we enable our customers to experience the products they want to experience. So if I feel I don't want to have that limit available to me, I will opt in and maybe feel I don't want to use it. For example, we've not been able to answer to the concerns of our Muslim Sharia compliant laws, and that's work in progress. So they feel you're already charging me an interest up in advance. How do you answer to the Sharia compliant laws? So you're in, you realize that this product doesn't answer to my needs. How can I easily opt out? So giving the customer the power to be in or out based on their requirements and their experiences. So we allow you to opt in and opt out at need. We don't want you to feel like you're a victim of this product. You opt in, we avail your limit based on the financial partners that we are in partnership with, NCBA and KCB. We advance your limit. If you do not use it, we do not want you to feel like you owe us anything. So you can actually opt out. And only when you're opted in are you availed that limit. So that's why we felt the flexibility of giving the customer control on when they want to use the limit or not. And yeah, just give the customer the freedom to be in or out as and when they want to be.
Yeah, and that's a very, very good design practice. I don't know how many of you remember when, back when you go to a website, then directly you're opted into newsletters, right? But now the world has moved forward. You now have GDPR regulations. You shouldn't force someone to take your product without them giving you consent. So I love that Fuliza was designed like that. So I'm giving you consent to give me a product as opposed to us just putting every Safaricom customer automatically on Fuliza, then now they have to opt out. So it was that, abiding with regulatory and also then consent and privacy and all that. So that I think that's really, really key. Does Fuliza have competitors?
As it is now, I would say no. We're the first mobile overdraft facility in the world, and we have been able to receive awards in relation to that. But yes, if you want a digital loan, there's myriads of opportunities to pick from whoever it is. But from where we sit as Safaricom, we want to be able to create standards. Can we educate our customers on being responsible about how they interact with credit and credit facilities? Are we able to see an overall view of your exposure in relation to the credit facilities you're picking up with lender A, lender B, and lender C? So Fuliza is unique in that it's contextual. And when you're at the point of needing to use that facility, do you then pick up that limit and pay for a loan, pay for a utility? And that's the uniqueness of Fuliza as it is. And we pride ourselves in being the first in the world mobile overdraft facility. So as it is, I don't think there's competition. It's a bit tapping ourselves in the back. But yeah, for now, not much competition, but the digital credit space in Kenya is vibrant. We have many players. We have so many people playing in that space because there's an unanswered need. Customers are actually looking for facilities to advance in business. And we need to now get into the detail of what are the credit needs that our customers are asking for. Why do we need credit to be able to then propel Kenyans to the next level?
So what about the Mshwaris and the KCB and PESAs and the, well, I guess Pala now is not as used, but is in that competition in a sense? What about their rates? Are their rates better or worse than Fuliza? Is in that competition?
The irony is that our M-Shwari and KCB M-PESA partners are the same partners we are with on Fuliza. So
Hmm.
they are actually the bank partners that we are with on the Fuliza journey. So it's just a different product. It's just the same way we seek to be able to give our customers variety, because not
Mhm.
everyone wants a 30-day term loan to be able to fulfill a need. Probably I'm just at a fuel station and I need to gas up my car for 7,000 shillings for a full tank, and Fuliza comes in handy at that point. Or I'm a farmer and I need to pick up input supplies worth 10,000 shillings. So I think it's just being able to give customers variety and choice in terms of flexibility of product features and the product capabilities. So not competition, because we are in partnership with all the banks that come to us, but just giving our customers variety to be able to pick what works for them in terms of tenor, in terms of limits, because of course an overdraft facility will not give you a limit as wide as an M-Shwari term loan would, or a KCB M-PESA term loan.
Yes, indeed,
Yeah.
indeed. Another great question from Natalie. So what is the maximum amount one can get through Fuliza?
It depends on who Kagonya is, who Eunice is, who Natalie is. So we look at it, each individual customer, and the credit scoring algorithm looks at your individual usage of M-PESA, how you interact with other credit products, what's your score from a credit reference bureau perspective, and how often do you use the facilities and products with Safaricom. So a lot of elements go into how we score and understand who you are as an individual, so that we're able to determine what credit limit to advance to you. So it's not a formula that we can easily say Kagonya's end month M-PESA balance plus 1,000 is what your limit is. So it's an understanding of who Kagonya is on the M-PESA environment, how you interact with other credit products, and in terms of repayment, in terms of how you utilize those funds, and just an understanding of who all our customers are in relation to the credit products. That's how we are able to look at you and advance a credit facility to each individual. So it's not a formula that easily says Natalie equals 10,000. It's a detailed machine learning and artificial intelligence that enables us to understand who you are and how you interact with the various products that we offer. Yeah.
So another question. So I don't know how many of you watched this lovely documentary that everyone is talking about now called The Social Dilemma. And it's really around how technology is often designed for something good, but then it gets us addicted to it, and sometimes leads us to building terrible habits. I'll give an example. We wake up in the morning and probably the first thing we check is a social media channel, but it's
Yeah.
because those channels have been designed to keep us there. The infinite scroll. One of my favorite examples is the infinite scroll that we as designers actually do that so that you spend a lot of time checking and checking and checking. So now, if we look at Fuliza, which was originally designed to solve a problem, are there some habits that it can create in someone that can be negative? So what I mean is, has it contributed to more people betting, for example? Has it contributed to any ills? Because it's just so easy to get a Fuliza loan now that you know, yeah.
Yeah, I think to answer your question is we allow the algorithms to learn who our customers are and to pick out behaviors that would indicate that you're a good payer or a bad payer. We don't want to influence the scoring algorithm. So how I would look at it is we observe the behavior of different categories of customers to determine if there's anything unique about, for example, 20-year-olds in Nairobi County. Are 20-year-olds in Nairobi County who bet more likely to default on a loan? So the system actually picks that behavior out, and we are able to then analyze. And we do A/B testing. So we then pick a normal group of customers and say, this is a customer we've not classified, and does that behavior show us anything? So it's all about allowing the systems to learn from our behaviors, because it's very unlikely that you would change your behavior for the purposes of gaining from something. And if you do, then the systems are able to pick that. So we are heavily looking at picking behavior and characteristics of our customers and how they interact with our products to be able to
Mhm.
gauge the probability to pay, the extent at which we are able to take risk with these various customers. So it's true, Kenyans are smart, so they try to game the system. So customers will call and say, if I use my M-PESA account more, will my limit increase? But
Mm.
probably it's the fact that you're not paying a Tala loan and therefore you're listed on CRB that could actually affect how we perceive you in our credit score system. So we are hoping to advance to the levels of the developed worlds to be able to use credit scoring both for positive and negative behavior listing.
Yeah. And so we have a question from Tracy. Hi, Tracy. That's my sister. So who has access to our money borrowing use?
So
For you,
once you
that's a
opt
very good
in,
question.
yeah.
So,
So once you opt into the Fuliza service, you actually do consent to the terms and conditions of how your use is used to evaluate your limit for that particular product. So the way it works is each product you opt into gives you an understanding of to what extent is the data in relation to the interaction with that product used to evaluate your risk, used to evaluate the limit exposure that a company should take with you. So once you
mm,
opt into Fuliza, we then look, you actually go all the way to the point where you say, yes, I'm comfortable with my data being used to determine the limit that should be advanced to me, which is a good thing, because we need to get to the point where we believe that and want to use our activity to determine positive credit rating. Credit rating should not be negative only. So Kagonya should be able to say, yes, score me so that my positive interaction with product A, B, and C can benefit me in terms of product D. To the extent of in future, as we mature in the Kenyan market, is I should be able to walk up to a residential area that I aspire to be resident of. And the fact that I'm a good credit user, I can actually negotiate my deposit terms. I can negotiate my rent terms because I have a good credit rating. Because most people will ask for 2 months rent, 3 months deposit, because I don't know who I'm interacting with. But can we take advantage of the behavior you exude on your credit products to be able to advance you services to your benefit? So that's how I look at it. If you do not consent, if you actually read the data privacy laws, you have to consent to how your data is used to evaluate you and interact you with the product that you have actually opted into.
Yeah, and that's a very good point. And you've also spoken about this. So the good thing, I know for sure that Safaricom is probably one of the first countries in Kenya, at least, that adopted, international or abides by or borrows from international privacy laws. We even recently have a new department that is specifically looking at how we protect our customers' data. So indeed, in this age where everything is about data or our information is really connected to what we do, as we've talked about behavior, we definitely have to protect the customer's data, and the same laws are well. Let me say Google and others are using. Facebook is the one that initiated this,
Yeah.
which is a good
Yeah.
thing in many ways. Yes. But I was thinking around the fact that a behavior that I've come across at least, is that someone will borrow Fuliza using this phone, and then when they get to their limit, now they use their spouse's phone, their neighbor's phone, their second phone, and they'll tell you, "Usinitumie kwa hii simu." So do not send it to this phone, send it to
Yeah.
my wife.
Yeah.
So what does that, how, how, how do you respond to that?
It's a typical Kenyan behavior. So, what Kenyans understand from credit is a 30-day credit product. So, I
Mm-hmm.
want to take up the credit facility today, but only pay in 30 days. So, if I borrow from you on the 2nd of September, in
Mm-hmm.
30 days, I should be able to pay that up. So that's a normal behavior. But an overdraft facility is actually supposed to be a credit facility that you revolve around. So today I owe Kagonya 2,000 shillings. I pay that, and my account with M-PESA is at a negative 2,000. However, if somebody pays me 5,000, I'm happy to settle the 2,000 and be in a positive status of 3,000. So just the understanding of how an overdraft facility works is not something that many Kenyans have been comfortable with. And it's a challenge for us. Just how do we educate our customers that if I have an outstanding Fuliza of 1,000 and somebody owes me 500 shillings, I would rather you pay me on my account that has a Fuliza outstanding of 1,000 so that I only owe 500 shillings. Therefore, my daily fees are only due on the 500 amount. But it's just a, a factor of how educated our customers on the complexity of credit products. But over time, the customers who have actually understood, if you pay me and clear my Fuliza, then I'm in a better place than if I
Mm-hmm.
keep that Fuliza outstanding for 30 days. Because the intention of the daily fees was to enable our customers to clear their loans on day 20, on day 15, on day 5, as opposed to having a flat amount that is charged to a customer for 30 days. If I pay in 2 days, I should be
Mm-hmm.
able to be charged less than a customer who keeps the credit facility open for 30 days. So if you're paying me what you owe me, please pay me to the line that has Fuliza, because then I reduce my liability on that credit facility. But I think it's a journey in terms of understanding the difference between a 30-day loan, an overdraft facility, and we are slowly beginning to see our customers understand the difference between the two products.
So it essentially now the overdraft facility, if you borrow that 2,000 bob, and then someone pays you 1,000 bob, even if it's taken, borrow again, that
Yeah.
1,000, so that you
Yeah.
can use it. And
You've
it will
freed
even,
your limits.
yes, it will now even increase the limit.
Yeah.
Now I know how to be explaining it to, my saloonists and all. Instead of
Yeah.
telling me send the money to, my spouse,
Yeah.
just
And you don't have to pay the daily fees over 30 days.
exactly, exactly. So, I mean, I would say these sessions time just flies. And so I'll just take the last question of the evening. And the question is from RBM. How can we educate Kenyan consumers on the interconnectedness of the activities on service providers' platforms, especially the potential benefits of positive behaviors? Wow, what a heavy question. So I
Yeah,
guess
it's a heavy question, but it's in relation
Mhm,
to what I was speaking about earlier. How can my behavior across different platforms make a difference for me? And that's where we're trying to get all our consumers to. Like how I interact with my utility bill payments for KPLC or Nairobi Water or Nakuru Water. I mean, it's a devolved government. So how does my
yeah,
interaction with all these companies then affect my credit worthiness with various institutions? That's where we need to get at.
mhm,
Today
mhm,
in the European world, if I rent a house in a town X, maybe New York, how I interact with my landlord in that house will affect my probability of getting another property in town Y. And that's the way it needs to be. My positive behavior also needs to make a difference for me, other than my just my negative behavior. So as it is, the credit reference bureaus are growing into positive behavior registry, and that's where we need to go. Just being able to tell our customers that we are watching your positive behavior, pay your rent on time, pay your utilities on time. And how does
mhm,
that make me more confident with advancing a credit facility to you? So yes, we
mhm.
are advancing to that point, and we are hoping that ourselves as Safaricom can begin to play as an industry leader in that space, because we do appreciate the fact that we interact a lot with our customers at different touch points. Yeah.
Okay. That's really, really great. It's been an awesome and very quick hour. So, are there any, last points? Maybe just from Eunice. It doesn't have to be around Fuliza necessarily. You've already given us two very key things, key lessons. Number one, do something dangerous. Number two, don't use your own money. Use someone else's. What's number three?
I think I think number three is about the impact you have on others. And
Mhm.
that's like not related to, maybe related to this, but if what you do without thinking about it impacts others around you, then you are doing something good.
Wow, so
that's
simply
that's
said.
that's it for me. Like being you helps others and impacts others and inspires others to be. That's what we should all live to be. Like the way a mother's survival is just impactful to her children, to her cubs, for an animal. So is your
Mhm.
presence being impactful to others without you thinking about it? Yeah.
Okay. Asante sana, Yunus. This has been fun. Thank you
Yep.
very much, all who have been able to join us live, and also those who watch this later. We appreciate it. Feel free to subscribe to Designers Craft, because every month we talk about technology design or products that we've built, African products that we've built. We're very proud of these technologies like Fuliza and others. We'll be hosting more technologies, more, professionals, and just really celebrating technology design in Africa. So, Asante, and see you later, guys. Bye.
See?
Bye.